Hey guys, what's up and welcome to the channel. I'm the Shotgun Shogun, and today we're going to be going a little bit over my account. Now, a lot of people will ask me, hey, how much money have you spent on the game? What kind of characters do you have? What kind of gear you have? Things like that. And I did this like a while back, and something I've wanted to do on the regular is just kind of give you guys an update on where my account is, where I'm going forward, what I'm looking to do, things along those lines, what I'm working on, who I have geared, what I've pulled, and things along like that. So we're gonna do that. I'm gonna go over this. And so one of the big things is people always ask me, they're like, how much money have you spent on this game? And I just recently did all of my taxes and stuff like that, and so just out of curiosity's sake, for myself, I was like, man, how much money have I spent total on Epic 7? And I'm a little over 20k. Now I'm a day one player. There's been a lot of characters that I have just straight up triple S'd. I've had some just bad luck. I've had some nights where, I just needed to roll covenants so that I could get dust for things. So we're sitting at a little bit over 20k. So this is what a 20k account looks like. Now I'm sure somebody in the comment section is going to be like, wow, way to waste all that money. It must be nice. A little bit, yeah. So let's go in here and let's take a look at my characters first. So well, actually, let's just go take a look at the journal. I'll show you the characters that I don't have. So I've got 97% on here. Now I'm gonna go over, we'll go to all heroes. I have pretty much everything except for a handful of the ML5s and Tempest Surin. Now you'll see that I have Silverblade Araminta on here. I originally pulled a Silverblade Araminta, and then when she got nerfed, I opted to trade her in for a martial artist Ken. Now, do I think that that was the best idea? Absolutely, because I wanted ML Ken from pretty much the first day. So that was pretty much the easiest thing that I could have ever done. Now it does kind of suck because a lot of these characters are very meta. I really would love a Rule of Light, Arbiter Vildred. I probably at this point wouldn't have the time or energy to work on, but Spectre Tenebria I absolutely would, because I would love to make a Shadow Squad. Sage Ball I think actually eventually will see a return. The problem is if they tune him back up too much, we'll go back to the problem that we had before, where he was just one of the most cancerous units in the game. So I have everything except for these characters in my character journal. Now if we go back into journal, we take a look at artifacts. I think there's only 2 artifacts that I'm actually missing, and that is Merciless Glutton, because I didn't pull for that. Oh, I do have, actually, hold on, let's fix this other one. The Pavel one, apparently it doesn't count if it is in your storage, because I had pulled it and I wasn't really planning on using it at all, mostly because there's just better artifacts than that one. So okay, so that should fix my journal, because I saw that it told me I didn't. Okay, so I have 98. I'm missing 2. So I'm missing Dingus Orb and I'm missing Merciless Glutton. I have everything else, and a lot of them are leveled up. There's a lot of times that I will literally just pull Covenant for dust so that I can buy out whatever is in the shop, especially for very, very key artifacts. But we'll go over artifacts here shortly. So let me show you what units I have here, what I use typically. So I'm going to go over basically just units that I use a lot. Now I don't use Sirmia, she's just holding gear. So you'll see a lot of characters with like just rando gear on them. That's because they're just holding gear at the moment, so that way I can farm harder. So you'll see also too, I have some MOLA investments in certain characters. Now understand that, I have been playing since day one, so there's a lot of times where, I needed MOLAs on a certain character. So like with Soul, getting this up to that 1 turn cooldown helped out a lot when I was trying to push raids. This right here is one of my favorite characters he's holding gear right now, but my +10 Wild Angra is probably one of my favorite units to just kind of like throw in there to like catch people off guard, because nobody ever expects a wild Angra. So Lilius right here, I've got plus 15 in her. Pretty much as soon as she came out, I was like, I need to plus 15 her. I love Lilius, the things that she brings. I have her running Arius with 4-piece speed, 2-piece health. Now I've got her at about 21k with about 1700 defense, but she's pretty quick. I'd like to get her a little on the quicker side, but I feel like having her at 208 isn't bad. That means that everybody else is going to get to go. They're going to put their debuffs up, and then she's going to cleanse those off. Now, see some people run, high crit damage, high crit chances, some, run with Gunther to things like that. Personally, I've always been a fan of just her utility, right? She does still hit pretty decently hard with the way that I have her built, but for the most part, I have her there to be really annoying, to have her bring in those double attacks. I run her a lot of times with DJ Bassar, so even in Guild Wars, let's say if I lose one of my other units, I have her, and then I can just double up attacks. She's very, very amazing at Guild Wars, just because you have that one less character, so you have a 50-50 chance of her double attacking with literally whoever you've brought. So if you bring two characters that have, something that happens on their S1, then that's going to be very, very beneficial, and you got to kind of think that one through. So Tamarin plus 8 on her skills, obviously the combat readiness healing, and the +1 on her idols. Now I haven't really dealt too much on the first one because you really don't need to, just because it only increases damage. So unless you're building some sort of weird hybrid damage dealing Tamarin, you don't really have to do that. I have her holding Bloom right now. She is mostly relegated to things like Hall of Trials. I was running her in Raid for a little bit with a team, but not so much anymore. There is times that I will bring her to PvP, but not very often. She is a little on the scuffed side. This gear is not very good. But like I said, I just bring her mostly for PvE content. Lena's just holding gear at the moment. Rose is just holding gear at the moment, but I do have her S3 and her S2 invested in, because I do like using her as a CR pusher from time to time. I will potentially bring her back into the limelight. I can get her pretty quick, and I do like the increased attack and the increased defense on the S3, especially for the caster. It does keep her around a little bit longer, and then you have the CR push as well as the barrier and the debuff removal for her S2. Very, very good character, very underrated. I don't see very much in the way of representation for her. I think that is a bit of a crime. Karen is 6-star, but she just holds gear. I would love to use her, but again, it's one of those things where if I don't have the MOA investment, I don't feel like it is worth it. So, okay, Seaside Belle, I use her quite often. Now, I have changed up her gear a little bit here and there. I have her on the 30 Rengar's drink right now. You might be saying, why don't you have 5k attack on here? Well, I did at one point, but then I had to move some gear around. I need to move it back. She's usually in a flux state of gear moving. Now, I do kind of want to try to build her a little bit on the tankier side for some stuff in the future, because at 881 defense and 9k health, she just kind of melts if anybody even remotely looks at her wrong. Dizzy, I just have her holding gear right now. I did put +3 into her S3 and +3 into her S2 for the turn cooldowns. If we get the Guilty Gear rerun and she can go into RTA, I will put more gear on her. I'll re-gear her up, just because I think that she is a powerhouse, that you have to kind of adjust the way you play around her. And I know that they put in a lot of different ways to deal with her, but overall, I do think that, she shifts when you pick her, she shifts who you have to bring. So that's a character I will use in the future. Now, Ice Dom, I put points into her S3 to get up to effect chance, put points into S2 for the cooldown. Now, I run her very, very fast with a very high effect effectiveness. So she's decent on the health, she's decent on the defense, but she's 217 speed. I run her with an Abyssal Crown. Now you might be saying that might be a little bit of overkill. You know what? When it comes to stuns, there's no such thing as overkill. We get as much stuns as humanly possible. I love running her with a Roman, things like that. People don't expect the stuns as much as they get. And the other thing too is she is literally the only character in the game that has the reflect skill. And when you have that up, that makes a lot of your damage dealers on the other team have to play a little bit more hesitant. And so if you're running against heavy AoE teams or even just heavy damage teams, this can kind of put a damper in their plans. So Luluka, I have her geared. She is literally just relegated to Wyvern 11. I personally think that she is. Oh, she's also on my PV or on my my Labyrinth team, because she's the team I have right now is pretty high in the morale department, and she also brings a lot of defense break, which is something that I need. I have her kind of quick. Effectiveness isn't great. Her critical hit chance is 77%, but decent critical hit chance, decent attack. She does still do a decent amount of damage, but I have her quick so that she can lap and get her S3 back up for things like Hellcat Arcanus, and she's dropping more and more and more defense breaks that'll help out. So Roman, I need to re-gear Roman out. I also need to take this artifact off of him. I was using him for floor 92. And so I had this artifact on him. When I'm using him in Abyss or in PvE, I will use the Necro Undine, because this increases your combat readiness after an AoE attack, which is S2 and is S3R. So that is really good. It helps me with lapping, cycling on him real quick. I do love using him in PvE, in PvP, RTA, in Arena, because a lot of people don't expect him. I do have his S3 down to the 1 turn cooldown, and his S2 I have the increased combat readiness. Now I might increase his S3 a little bit more, but I don't think that he really is there to do damage. He's there to disrupt. So that's what that is. I do kind of want to get his S1 down to the +3 for the increased combat readiness on the decrease and the increase as well. So that's something that I'm looking at in the future. Molas, man. So Amont, I use her quite a bit. She is in both Guild Wars, GVG or RTA. Sometimes I don't use her much in Arena anymore because I have other things, but she is a core of my Labyrinth team. So my Labyrinth team, I'll show you that here in a little bit. Angelica is just holding gear. I don't use her much anymore. DN is pretty core on a lot of my teams as well. I have her fairly speedy, fairly healthy, fairly defensive. A little bit of effect resist. I'd like to get that up a bit higher, but for the moment it is what it is. I also need to get this Celestine leveled up, because right now DJ Basar should be using my other one. Alencia, this is a character I want to start using more, and I actually just geared her out last night. I have her 182 speed. It's not bad. I like her a little bit on the quicker side, so you can cycle, so you can get that S3 up. About 16k hit points, 1100 defense, a decent amount of attack and crit hit damage with the 95% critical hit chance. I have her on Durando as well, so that when she does get a little bit low, she's going to be cycling, she's going to be pushing a lot faster. I would like to have a little bit more effectiveness on her so that we can actually land some of those defense breaks, but right now I don't have any MOLA investment. I really would like to get down to +3 on the Genesis. I would like to get the to the +4 on this at least, and then get the +4 on this for the effect chance. But that's a heavy investment in this character, and right now just do not have the molas for this. Right now Yufine is just holding some gear. I've got her +6 +1 on the S2. I wanted to get it down to +2 so that I can cycle that a bit more. +1 has nothing in it. I would like to get the effect chance up to 85%, but again, MOA investment. When I build her, I usually build her tanky bruiser, which is something that I'm going to put back into her. Charles, don't yell at me. He has no gear right now because it was on somebody else that I was using for my Abyss team. I will get that back on him as soon as possible. I also got to remember not to bring him to Guild Wars or to RTA butt naked. Falconeer Query. So Falconeer Query is missing. She's holding a ring right now that I need to adjust. So normally I have her high effect resist. I have her high speed. I would rather I might move it to effectiveness so that I can land the S3 more often. I would like to get more health on her. The health, I usually have a health ring, but I could probably do change this to a hit point neck and then change this to an effectiveness ring. So that way I get the effectiveness. I usually run her with Elbrus Ritual Sword as well. So counterattack, Ritual Sword, high speed, effectiveness. She's gonna be making a bit more of a resurgence here soon. Baiken is just holding gear until like I said, until I can use her in RTA. Once RTA comes, I will be using her quite a bit. Oh, I forgot to talk about Charles's skills here. So this is down to +1 or -1 turn. I have this all the way up just so it does more damage off of the S1. I have this for the 10% increase to decrease attack chance. This I would like to finish out. That's one thing I want to finish out one of these days. Baiken +15. The minute that I got her, I +15'd her immediately. I really enjoy Baiken quite a bit, and I think that she's going to make a huge impact in RTA once she comes out. I just can't justify putting a lot of my really good gear on her until that happens. I love using her in, like I said, in Guild Wars. She is an absolute monster. In Arena, she was a good Arbiter Vildred counter. And overall, I really just enjoy her. She will be making a resurgence eventually. Sid is a character I've been slowly working on and wanting to work on for a real long time. I just feel like he's got a lot of stuff. So I did get his S3 down to +5 so that I could do the increased damage. I do have his S2. I'm working on that. And so I do have him plus SSS. So you've got the speed imprint here. So it's something that I want to work on eventually. It's just today is not that day. I've got a lot of gear. I think I could probably make a scuffed Sid or even a slow Sid and then have him as like an anchor push with Oxlots, kill somebody with the S3, follow up with the S1, after getting the increased speed, since this will increase proportional off of his speed. It increases his speed, you get the defense down, and from there. But at the moment, not working on him too much. Mighty Mouse is just holding some gear. I like using him for the memes. That is a lot of fun times. Violet, he's in a constant state of flux. Sometimes I have him geared, sometimes I don't have him geared. I don't have the MOA investment in him that I want to. I know that you probably shouldn't. I shouldn't have invested in this S2, but this was as soon as I got him. Literally as soon as I got him, I was going to build him. I'm like, oh, this seems really good. In retrospect, probably not the best because, well, you don't want this to be down, right? So the longer this is up, the more you're going to be counterattacking. My bad. Basar, right now he's got probably my fastest gear at 256. I have I have crown on him so that you get those miscellaneous stuns off of the S3. I have him on my defensive team just for that, and so this helps out. I really don't use him offensively, and I don't really like using him. I know that he's pretty meta and you kind of need it, but I honestly don't even use him on my PvP offensive team, and I just don't really like him that much. Captain Ricorous I really enjoy, but right now I moved gear off of him after playing around with him in Abyss. He'll get a gear eventually, as I would like to use him more regular. Gunther sitting on just holding gear. I got the tooth pretty much assigned to him non-stop. I'm going to spend some time farming Golem 11 just to get perf Gunther gear eventually. Judge Kisei, I've got, oh yeah, so they're both plus 15. Judge Kisei is at plus 11. I invested fully into her S3 and her S2. However, with the rise of things like Moonlight Dreamblade, Arbiter Vildred, ML Ken teams, her cleave ability was just not what it used to be. So like with even with plus 7, with probably some of my best gear on here, if I ran up against a Moonlight Dreamblade, Arbiter Vildred, I would just be in a bad spot. So with everybody running those, it kind of put her on the back burner. Now, I could level her up for things like RTA and then just swap around out of that. The other thing too is I could potentially run her very, very fast just to hit with the S3 to disrupt a bunch, but with people running things like immunity, things like that, that would be kind of a little on the oof side. Now I could run her with, let's say, like a C-Dom and a Faithless Litica in order to push her forward, strip, and then do the S3, maybe put the S3 or S2 S3 combo, but we'll see how that goes. Again, so many characters, not enough gear to go around. Ambitious Tywin, this guy will always be geared and always be ready to go. I plus 10'd him right out of the gate because I wanted plus 4 on the battle command. I wanted the turn cooldown on flash just so I could see it more often because it looks super sick. And then I have the plus 15 or the extra % chance here because your 75% chance to provoke is really, really huge. He counters all the time. We got the ritual sword on. Now, this guy is core on one of my 2D offensive PvP teams for Arena, and we'll kind of go over that too. Crimson Armin is in a flux state right now. She's just holding gear. Usually I can get her up to about 210 speed so that way I just DJ Basar, then push Crimson Armin, and then she invulns, and then I have like an ML Ken or in a Seaside Bell that are just brutally slow and will just counter them to death while in invulnerability with the defense, with the debuff immunity as well. So that's something that I run her on regularly. She always is typically running Arius as well. I do have her, I needed to put points into this, but I maxed out S2, and then I put this down to the effect chance. I wanted to get another one in there just for that 75% chance. So Yeaton is a character that I would love to work on one of these days. Plus 10 him, 3 stars are real easy to skill up. So Yeaton, don't really have too much gear on him right now. Again, he's just holding things. I typically run him with Adamant Shield just because you have the damage share. So it's basically like an Arius without the defensive buff. But dude, this guy can hit such high amounts of health with low investment in him. Fighter Maya, probably another one of my pride and joys here. She is typically going to always have the plus 30 Elbrus Ritual Sword counterattack set. I do want to move some gear around on her to get her a little bit higher on the defense. I have her, she's just brutally slow because you can't really lock her down. She is the Teflon Don. I have her plus 13, plus 5 here. Maxed out the S3 because previously I was using the Soul Burn on it. I wanted to make sure that I was hammering things home even if I wasn't soul burning it, but with the changes now, she just does copious amounts of damage. Even if she's not, even if they're not in 30% range, this is a lot of damage. And then I brought this down to plus 3. I want to get the last 2 points into this. Fighter Maya will always be geared, will always be a character that I am going to use on the regular, especially in like Guild Wars. She is really, really strong, and I think getting that extra 25% damage there is going to be real good. I've seen some people run her just like defensive and you can just kind of ignore her, but with the defense I have the crit chance neck. This one actually rolled really good, 32% defense and crit damage. The speed and the health were kind of whatever, but you know, that 32% defense was huge on her. Plus the 55% crit chance is baller as well. If I could make up another 10% to just have the absolute guaranteed on this without losing too much or even gaining stuff, if I get another good piece of gear, like let's say, you know, I get a really good 88 defensive piece and I can make up for the, you know, the 12%. Let's say I can get 22% here by moving some stuff around. I 100% will. So definitely love her. Kicker at just holding gear right now. MRSA is one of my other characters that I'm very, very proud of. Now 12k health, lifesteal crit set. Although I do need to put another piece of crit gear on here at some point. Right now, this is just the better pieces of gear that I have because I can use the broken set because this has 17% crit chance on speed boots with a little bit of crit damage and some flat attack. Not the best, but I do run Violet's Talisman on her because unlike Dreamblade, this is a static attack increase and it can stack along with an attack up. So I usually run her with somebody who has attack up. So yes, the Dreamblade is better from the onset, but I feel like having and she's plus 15 obviously, having the 50% evasion at the very get-go isn't too bad, and you're gonna get a chance to go real quick, right? And then immediately you're at 60%. Then if you get to go again, you're at 70, then 80%. Put a Fat Cat on the team, you're at 95% chance to evade. You always have 30% increased attack. And if you're running, let's say, Fat Cat and a DN, right? Fat Cat DN MRSA team is a team I like to run in Guild Wars a lot. You have attack up constantly, you have crit down. So even if you are getting hit, which chances are you're not, you're going to be negating a potential crit from, let's say, a counter A-Ravi. So that's a really big thing for me right here. Would I like to have a little bit more speed? Absolutely. Would I like to have a little bit more crit damage? Absolutely. But I feel like having this health on her is very key because she's paper thin in the first place. I'm actually running I'm running a flat attack right now, but I got 30% health on this thing. This is probably just one of my favorite rings as well, because the other thing too is with her attack not being super high naturally for being a 3-star, flat attack is not as much of a detriment as percent attack. So like one of the things you got to think about when you're rolling gear as well is this how much of a net positive do I get in the gear than would I get overall. So Specimen says just holding gear right now. I was using him for Abyss, Faithless Litica holding gear, Watcher Shuri. I use him only for the most part for Banshee 11 one-shots. That's why I just have his S3 leveled up. Specimen says when I do use him, I have him at plus 14 or plus 11, all but the S2 I want to get to plus 5 because you can use him to cleave in certain situations as well. So that's always a nice one there. DJ Basar plus 15. I need to put some gear back on him. Typically he would be running my Basar gear so that he would just go first, push. But if we go up against Basars, then I'm going to push debuff immunity, then the Basar's just gonna go and strip everything. So that was one of the downsides of running him regularly. But if I can run him, I loved running him in RTA. Dude is super clutch. Like, I don't care what people say, 35% chance to stun on his S1 is huge. If you run him with the Celestine, that is some spot healing over on top of the healing to everybody. It's really, really big. Now I could run him with Shamadra staff for the increased plus the effect resist, but right now my Celestine is plus 30. My Shamadra needs some work. Maid Chloe 217 speed, high effect resist, Water's Origin. I would like to get her health up a bit more. Right now we're at about 14.5k with only about 1200 defense. Not my most beneficial stats here. I would like to maybe bring her speed down to maybe 210, get a little bit more in the health defense department. Would like to get an immunity set, but I'm never lucky with immunity sets. I do have her at +1 for the 1-turn cooldown, +7 on her S2 for the increase in healing overall. So I do need to get her health up, like I said, a bit more so that the healing is a bit more on that. A Ravi +14. The only thing that I'm missing out on is the S1. Love me some A Ravi. My stats are a little on the scuffed side. Would like to get the crit hit damage up more, attack up more, but I don't want to sacrifice the 19k health. She's a little on the slow side, would like to get that up, but effect resist 133. Not too often does she get hit with anything unless it's, you know, it's people running ignore effect resist. Fat Cat +15 right here. We've got +15 into everything speed wise. He's 193. A lot of people don't expect the full crit, high attack, fast Fat Cats. I like him fast. He's got a decent amount of bulk on him, but the thing is I want to get that evasion up. So the other thing too is you get a 50% chance to inflict bleed, so having the high attack is going to help out with those bleeds. I got the +30 Durandal on him so that when he does get low, he's going to just be lapping even more. You're going to get the miss chance, the guaranteed miss chance, which is typically really huge on him, which is really, really nice. Chaos Sect is just holding gear. Commander Larina is part of my core a raid labyrinth team, has just some extra scuffed gear on her. This is actually not bad. I need to put this on somebody else who could use this, but for the moment this is what she's rocking. I'm actually pretty happy with that 17 speed roll on that, but I have her running a lot of decent gear just so that I can make lab raids a lot easier. Dark Harvest just holding gear at the moment, +15, triple S a long time ago. I would like to just put some health gear on him so I have him available for GVG. Martial Artist Ken, so I would like to get him finished out on the +2 to the first one, but we'll see. I do have him on self imprint for the 9% of resist. I would like to get him up higher eventually. If there's like ever a Ken banner, I'm probably just gonna roll on Ken banner. Dirt slow, almost 300% crit hit damage, 73% crit chance, pretty high in the attack range, 14k hit points. Would like to get his hit points a little bit higher, maybe a little bit more on the crit hit chance, but dude, I'll tell you what, when this guy hits, he hits real hard. Would like to give a shout out to Warbolt. Before I was running just a super beefy tanky martial artist Ken, wasn't doing much in the way of damage, but at the same time he could take hits like nobody's business. So that worked out pretty okay for me. Was really good in terms of countering Arbiter Vildreds, but if you just ignored him, he really didn't do much. Fallen Cecilia, I need to move her gear around. I was trying Tanky Bruiser, not really working for me. I need to get her health back up. I need to get her higher speed. I'm going to drop the crit hit chance, crit hit damage. I don't really care about her doing damage. I just need to get her up. I took her to +3 on the S3 for the turn cooldown, and I started working on her S2. That's what I'm going to be putting more points into as I can, but right now I got other characters that I'm working on. I know she's meta. I know she's really good. She's also, you know, got a tail kind of coming out of the middle of her elbow. Regardless, yeah, I got to move her gear around. I do have her on self effect resist, or no, she's on team effect resist. That's what I was gonna, yeah, she's on team effect resist, but I do want to get her in a better spot. Right now I feel like she's a little too squishy. That is where I think that she is right now. Shadow Rose, I've got her on the plus. I don't know why I put her into +4 on this. I used her a lot in the past, then she kind of fell off meta. I feel like if the Shadow Wing would have increased her base speed, that would have made her see a bit more of a rise in prominence again. But with her not, it's not really that great. I was using her for Banshee defense breaks, but since I moved away from the defense break ones, Sid's just holding gear. Would love to level him eventually. I'm thinking about moving her. I was running her counterattack defense, right, with the Dream Blade. It's working out pretty okay, but I would like to potentially, I might just put her to more of a non-counterattack tanky bruiser. Maybe give her some speed boots so that she can lap a little bit better. We'll see. I definitely do like the counterattacks are pretty pog when they happen. I do need to get her S1 leveled up to +4 at least, so I get more healing off of this. Again, things to work on. I don't know why I don't have all-rounder Wanda's S1 finished out, but she's always going to be geared. 204 speed, high crit chance, high crit, semi-oak, 200 crit damage. Attack's not great, but we got a high effectiveness here, and we're running her on the Sword of Justice. Now, I have her for this right here. One shot, one kill. You can ignore effect resist. This helps lock things down. If I ever see a Violet Fat Cat team in Guild Wars, this is literally the easiest. That's the easiest win ever. Not only that, but I like to bring her to just lock down key units, right? She's not the fastest thing in the world. She's not going to go first, but she is probably going to go second or potentially third. And that's going to lock down, you know, an Amont or somebody that you want to follow up and run a train on. So that's what I've got her. C-Merc right now, just holding gear. I got her S3 filled out so that she can cleave the first round of any of the hunts that I'm doing. C-Dom, another character I really want to work on. I use her for CR pushing with Faithless Litica. Again, I would love to get her S2, her S3 leveled up just so that she's a threat instead of just a pusher, because 100%. Champ Zerato, the only thing I don't have points in here is the S3, S2, S1 are maxed out. Violin, I need to move my gear back over to him because I had moved gear over onto MRSA, and I'm going to move gear back onto him. He's pretty much just my solo A11 champ. Run him with 3 fodders. Gerardo, just holding gear. Let me find characters. Luna is always going to be geared. She is my prime DPS for Wyvern. Just pretty much some backup attack gear on her with Daydream Joker, but gets the job done. Don't have the S2 or the S1 fully maxed out. S3 is, however. Tundra Angra, another 2-star that I 6-starred. For the most part, a lot of these other characters, Crow I don't use, Tywin I don't use, Kisei I was using for a while there, and I had her really early on, so you might be like, why do you have 222? Because I was bad when I initially got her, and I didn't know what I was doing. I was gonna eventually gear everything up. So yeah, Elena I do use. She's core on my PvP team right now. 212 speed. Magdra's, she is there to run with ML Tywin to counter Bassar teams. She's quick, so usually I'll run up against something that's going to AoE, be it a Lilius, whatever. Then boom, she's right to the front and she evulns everybody, and then easy peasy. Wilbet was a character that I was working on, is kind of on hiatus right now. I wanted to use her for the Soul Cutter to be able to take her. She was going to work as kind of a Banshee 11 character as well as a Arbiter Villager counter. Purges, love Purges right now. I believe, yeah, this is the gear I typically run on him. He's there to be stupid annoying. Got his I want to get his S2 all the way up so we get that 50% chance to counterattack. We have a 15% chance to stun on that. S4 or S3 is all the way up. So I'm missing one on all of those. He's going to get plus 15 eventually and fully awakened. I love running the Purge. Ruzid, not doing anything. Bell, I had initially used her quite a bit for raids, things like that. So S3 was maxed out. S1 was going to get worked on maxing out. Right now, she's just a gear holder. Asaria doesn't have any investment. I run her on Tamsaria every once in a while. Silk was one of the first characters I put anything into. That's why she's got stuff, but don't use her. Don't use Destina. Purges, general Purges I use sometimes, not very often. Blaze Dingo I was using to Thanos snap people for a while there. He's got the Shamadra staff. Oh, I guess I did plus 30 my Shamadra staff. Maybe I'll move that to DJ Basar. But I was running him as just heavy on the S2. I was going to work on the S1 for the follow-up. Didn't really care too much about the S3, got to the 1 turn cooldown just so I could invuln more often. Doris, I was using her in Abyss. Troublemaker Crozet holding gear. I'd love to use him. When he came out, I was like, boom, I'm going to use this dude. 40% increase, but the problem is that he doesn't have the defense to really mitigate it or the hit points. So I found that whenever I was running him on a team, he would just literally melt from any sort of cleave. It was pretty bad times. Down here I've just got more or less scuffed characters. A lot of characters that I haven't really invested in at all. Mercenary Helga I want to use a little bit. I need to finish out her S2 and S1 when I get some catalysts. And some stigma as well. Armin is a character I really want to invest in the future. Regular lots. So I was working on him just because I wanted to get this combat readiness up, and he was a character I was using kind of early on, and then I was using him in tandem with regular lots for memes. So I was going to get this to a 1 turn cooldown, or I was going to level this up for the combat readiness, level this up for the combat readiness, and then that way I could loop over and over again. But he's on the back burner as well. Same with Assassin Colleague character I would love to work on. And then we get down here. I haven't even finished leveling up Cerise, but I've got a lot of characters ready in the hopper for leveling to 5 stars. There's a lot of things here that I would love to work on. I want to get Sigrid up. I want to finish out Pavel. Yes, this is another Triple S Gunther. We don't burn Gunthers on this account. When they get to Triple S, we 6-star them. Well, we get them to 5-star. Then when I run out of things, then I will 6-star them. I got a couple Charlottes here waiting for ML Charlotte. ML Charlotte will be almost instantly 6-star and maxed out. That is what we're going to do. I think in terms of characters from 5 stars that I'm going to level up next, it's going to be this Tenebria. She's going to get gear for that 1 RTA. I'm really interested in seeing what Batiste can do. Batiste is a character I've been pretty interested in. Araminta as well, and Acades. Those are some characters that I really want to work on in the 5-star range. So there's all my characters and what I use them for. Now let's take a look at my artifacts. This video is going to be stupid long. And I would go over some of my gear, but I think that would probably take a really copious amount of time as well. So Lencia's Wrath, I did pull for a couple copies of Lencia. I ended up getting 2 of her Wrath. Plus 30 Draco Plate. I want to get this Creation Destruction up to plus 30 just for memes. Junkyard Dog I haven't leveled up, mostly because at the moment it is not worth it because I can't use it in RTA. If I can't use it in RTA, my theory is I don't really typically invest in it at the moment. Now, when they bring, like I said, when they bring back LT Gear, then Baiken, Junkyard Dog, a bunch of other things will be getting some investment as well. So I just got this new Herberist Tooth. So Herberist Tooth plus 30, Border Coin, not really too worried about it. Durandal, I'd like to get a second max Durandal. Durandal's 30 though. Same with Sigurd Scythe, right? So I got a plus 30 Sigurd Scythe. I'd like to get a second plus 30 Sigurd Scythe. If it hits the shop anytime soon, I'll probably go in on that pretty hard. Lock this just to have a copy. Enhanced, just to have a, yeah, I mean, I don't intend on using this really, but yeah. So drink is 30, obviously. I would like to get another Sword of Justice. I don't want to use a potion on it because I usually keep that for limited artifacts, so that, like, you know, with Draco Plate or something like that, if I don't want to continue rolling for it, let's say I get the character to triple S and I'm like 1 or 2 away, that's when I'll use my potions. Max Iron Fan, plus 30 Iron Fan. This is one of the keys to making Watcher Shuri one-shot Banshee 11. Outside of that, I don't think I'll ever use this. I've thought about using it in PvP just for the extra 32% damage when attacking ice elemental targets, just for that, like, extra crazy amount of damage against, like, let's say a Crow or a Seaside Belle or an Amont or a DN or something like that. You just have that extra 32% damage against the water meta, but I don't know what ranger I would even use that on. Watcher Shuri would hold on to it, I guess. Otherworldly Machinery is something that I want to get maxed out here, because this is going to increase the damage of attacks that target all enemies, because again, I do have other rangers that I can use that on. Spirit's Breath is plus 30. That is what allows me to Oxlot's Loop. I don't think that, you know, I'm going to max out another Spirit's Breath, just because I can't imagine there's another character, another mage that I would use that on. And if it was, I don't think I would use them in tandem with Oxlots, but we'll see in the future. Would like to get this Song of Stars maxed out and leveled up. Bloodstone's one that I would like to get maxed out, so because I've seen some people run like plus 30 Bloodstones on Seaside Belle and just nothing dies. No one ever dies. Necro and Undine, I guess maybe I would max it out if it's allowed in RTA, right? So if it's allowed, when they allow it in, maybe I'll throw 2 potions into it, possibly. Chatty is something I'd like to get leveled up here, because then I can get the shield. I can put the shield on my mage. I think that would be pretty good, depending on who I use that on. I know that it's good on Caesarto for certain things. Time Matter, haven't really done too much on that. Etika's Scepter, if I get another one, I will probably max that out, just because I think that that's really good. That's right, that is 2 plus 30 maxed out Abyssal Crowns, and if I get the chance, I will max out a third one. Bastion, don't care about. Justice for All, I just have one maxed. Noble Oath is at plus 15. That's right, this is for Elbrus Ritual Swords. The goal, my long-term goal, is to have 4 plus 30 Elbrus Ritual Swords. I know it's going to be a really, really long time, and pretty much is whenever they're in the store, that's when I will just roll Covenant for an extensive period of time, just to burn artifacts for dust, so that I can get more Ritual Swords. That is that plan. Call me crazy all you want. I don't care. We'll enhance this since I just got that. So we've got that maxed out. That is, the dream is 4 knights on counterattack sets with Elbrus Ritual Swords. That is the dream. That is the dream. Let me get back down here. kind of point out, I would like to get another Idol's Cheer just so I can max out that Idol's Cheer. Celestina, need to level up this second one. Shamadra Staff's good. Torn Sleeve, again, don't really care too much. I'm going to work on a second Violence Talisman. I'm sad that I got rid of a lot of my Alexa's baskets before they made Alexa's basket good, because I think I had like 1.5 maxed out ones. I think that this one's actually my half maxed out one. Feels bad, man. Wind Rider eventually would like to do something with that. I'm gonna plus 30 this RNL real soon. Proof of Hours plus 30. Now down here in the 4 stars, I've got Hellcutter. I'm gonna get maxed out. Strax, I'm gonna get maxed out eventually. There's so many things to max out, not enough time. I'm gonna get this second Rosa to max. I don't know if I'm gonna plus 30 it, but I feel like there could be some memes that I could do, some meme teams on that. I would like to get this Sachet maxed out. I got 2 infinity baskets, don't really use them too much. Now you might be wondering, hey, why do you have this Radiant Forever maxed out? So whenever this targets increases damage against elite or boss monsters. Now this definitely helps out in things like A11, B11 for doing that extra damage that C-Merc needs. Violin, you might be like, hey, where's your maxed out Violin? Yeah, feels bad, dude. I didn't think that I would need it for some reason. As a big 500 IQ Senku player then. What would I even need that for? So dumb. So dumb. I got 2 Cauldras. I don't use Cauldra that often, so I don't know why I have 2 of them. I got 2 tags. I'm going to start working on a third one whenever I get more tags. So that is a thing. I want 2, 3, potentially in the 4 plus 30s in the future, just to A, not have to move it around, and B, because I mean that would be pretty fun. We'll see. 4 tags on 4 mages would be kind of interesting. I got 2 Hill Glances. I call them Hig Glances. One's plus 30. I typically would run it on like my Falconeer Quarry just to get more moves, but I'm going to probably run Elbrus on her instead. Adamant's plus 30. I got 2 plus 30 Ariuses just so that I don't have to move them, so I can have one sitting on a defensive team and one sitting on a different offensive character. Sometimes I do that just for reasons like that. I got a plus 30 Magdaras. I don't know that I'll need 2 plus 30 Magdaras, but I could potentially have one on like Elena and have one on an Amont on like the same team or in the same guild war. That would be pretty good. I got 2 plus 30 max potion vials, mostly because before I could one-shot Banshee 11, I would literally run 2 max potion vials, one on Tamarin, one on Jekt, for the safest, slowest B11s ever. I'm gonna work on a second plus 30 Waters Origin. Got 1 plus 30 Dust Devil. I don't know that I'll need 2, but we'll see. I'm working on a second plus 30 Moonlight Dreamblade. And then outside of that, we got the Midnight Bloom as plus 30. That's important in a lot of teams where I can, wiggle room some crit around. I was going to finish out this second max portrait, but with it not being an RTA, I have shifted to Tonfas. So this typically goes on to people that I'm using in arena, and I don't usually need more than 1 portrait. So, and right now, my arena team relies on Seaside Bell, so I'm not going to run a portrait on Seaside Bell when I can run Rengar's Drink. Plus 30 Oath Key for when Arbiter Vildred was a big pain in the butt. I did plus 30 this Card of Small Miracles just for the attack and defense by 5%. This can make a big impact on specific hunt comps and speeding things up. 2 plus 30 Daydream Jokers. Envoy's Pipe I was running on my Angelica for a little bit early on. Let's see, down here I've got some things that I'm just I was building for memes. I'm gonna plus 30 this Grail of Blood eventually and put it on a Gunther, just to see how much it heals for. Outside of that, I don't have too much. Crimson Seed, I'm going to end up working on. I didn't finish that out, unfortunately. I make it plus 30 timeless anchor as well. So there's all of my artifacts. And those are things that I'm just planning on working on in the future. This video has been going on for quite a while, so maybe at some point I'll come back through and I will talk about all of the gear, some of my like favorite pieces that I've rolled, because I mean, if you take a look here, I have a lot of gear, and I'm kind of a hoarder, and I need to sift through some of this stuff and move some things around and actually properly gear out some of my characters and go from there. So that is my account as it stands on the 10th of March 2020. Like I said, I'm a little over 20k in on this account. I've been playing since day one. I've got quite a bit of stuff invested and going on in this, and I'm looking forward to more time. If you guys do like this, I'm gonna try to do this on a monthly basis to talk about, like I said, what I'm doing, where I'm going, maybe what I've changed, what I've like kind of figured out over the past month with gear, maybe like highlight some of the best pieces of gear that I got over the course of the month. So if you do like that type of stuff and you want to see this more often, let me know down in the comments. And yeah, this is what 20 grand will get you. All right, anyways, guys, I will catch you later. Take it easy, homies. Peace.